Hello there guys and girls, and welcome to the next episode of RedManaMadness. We have a little deck talk that I'm really excited to do today. Oh, forgive me, whenever I put my hand here it makes the thing go blurry. Yeah, little deck talk today with a commander that I've been so eager to have a little discuss about, show the deck that I have built around her. Oh, it keeps going blurry. And that is Arabella the Abandoned Doll. If you know anything about me with my previous videos, I have a real thing for 2-cost commanders and anything artifacts. And the fact that we have a 2-cost artifact creature as a commander that you can have, I am extremely excited to be doing a video talk on the deck that I've made around this commander. Been a long time in the making, been quite busy with a few things that's just been getting in the way, but I've had this deck for a while now, maybe a good couple of months, or at least since Duskmourn has been released. I've had this commander, or been building this commander, and I've been playing it, and just been trying to find the time to finally get the video out, have a little talk in the discussion, show some of the cards and showcase a few things on how the deck works and how I've built this, maybe in relatives to how other people may be building this. But yeah, I've just been so busy with a few bits. I've been ill as well. I've had a herniated disc in my back that I've been recovering from, and it's just one thing after another. Whenever I want to sit down and do this, something else comes up and I'm like, I've got to do this, or I'm really ill, or da. But finally, let's do this. Arabella the Abandoned Doll from Duskmourn. So it's a 2-cost in Boros, so a red and white legendary artifact creature toy, and it has, whenever Arabella attacks, it deals X damage to each opponent, and you gain X life, where X is the number of creatures you control with power 2 or less. So very obvious that it's going to be a very token based heavy deck with all the 1/1s or 2/2s that you're going to be playing, and then eventually you'd want to play Arabella, swing with her, and deal like mass wide damage, you know, depending on how many creatures you have on the board. I've gone away from maybe what the norms are. I've read with some popular builds is using gremlins, for example, with Krenko. Making 1/1 gremlins is very easy, and it's been like recommended a few times, saying, oh, why don't you put Krenko in there, why don't you do this, make it very goblin heavy. I think, oh, to be fair, do I even have Krenko in here? I actually don't think I do. Or another one is with the heir apparent, with all the rabbits, thanks to Boros as well, with all the token making with the rabbits. That seems to be another popular choice. I've kind of strewn away from there to do a different type of token base with 1/1 warriors or some other bits, and then implementing a lot of spells that do a lot of protection to keep Arabella safe, because from learning experiences, this is like a kill on sight commander. As soon as you play her, everyone's like, no, we can't have a swing because she's going to do like 20 damage in one turn to everyone, because there's like, you know, you've got 20 tokens out or something, and they're all like 1/1s. So in that retrospect, I feel like I've done a little bit more slower token paced, if that makes sense, with some other playabilities where I'm doing like double damage or other removals, protection spells, giving things indestructible, to try and keep Arabella as safe as possible. But we'll go through that. So starting with the lands, I think there's like 34 last time I checked. Mostly just your traditional, well, your normal, like, you know, mountains and plains, but I'll go through a couple of the utility lands that have just made sense to me, with Sokunzan, the Crucible of Defiance from Kamigawa. You know, if I'm doing okay in terms of land base, and I don't really need this, I could channel the ability to create 2 1/1 colorless spirit creature tokens, again just to ramp up Arabella to do her ability to do more damage. This one is more for the token base. 4 mana to create a 1/1 is quite expensive, but if this is like a late game where I'm trying to like get as many as possible, might not be so bad. Iganjo, Seat of the Empire. This is just more again for the channel ability to do a bit of removal, for whatever reason I need to do removal. Mishra's Foundry, that's just to turn this into a 1/1 artifact creature token, or sorry, artifact creature, not a token. You know, again in conjunction with Arabella's ability. Kerkeep, again creating the tokens because it's under 2 power, and then just a few commander simple bits to go with the deck, just some tap lands as well. The Rogue's Passage as well is more for Arabella, just so she can't be blocked. Give her that protection, because obviously you want to attack with her to trigger her ability, but obviously if someone has a lot of blockers and you're going to potentially lose her, give her abilities that she can't be blocked is a handy little feature to have. So that's one of the other things you want to do, is give her as many opportunities as possible and abilities where she can't be blocked when she attacks, or she can't be interacted with when you do attack with her. With the Planeswalkers, real quick, Elspeth and Archangel Elspeth, literally mostly just to create those token creatures. Elspeth's ultimate ability here, I don't want to be activating that, or you could do maybe, but I don't plan to, because I want to keep everything under 2 power. And then her removal as well is really, really handy, so I felt like that was a no-brainer. Again, with the 1/1s and lifelink, the counters not so much, and then potentially returning the graveyard recursion doesn't seem too bad with her ultimate, so that's not too bad with her. So just the 2 Planeswalkers. Going through, I forgot about the Mana Rocks. So a few artifacts here, and some Mana Rocks, the usuals of a Mind Stone, Soul Ring. Let's have a look. I'll go through the others in a second. The Talisman, the Felwestone Command Sphere, and the Arcane Signet. So just a few Commander staples with the Mana Rocks and stuff. But going through some of the other artifacts with the Staff of Hermes, for example, as long as you have 30 or more life, which you do because you start off with 40, and then with all the life gain, this should be relatively easy. Crypt creature gets indestructible, which is massive. It does take Arabella out of her own ability because she goes from a 1 to a 6 with the 5/5. But if you've got a load of other tokens, 1 damage is not going to be the end of the world. But yeah, it's more to just prevent any damage that would be dealt to her and to give her indestructible, which is massive. Very, very problem artifact that is. Once you equip that to her, makes Arabella very hard to deal with. More token creations. For 3, you create X, where it's the number of 1/1 humans you control. Hopefully you have a few. And then with all those 1/1s, thanks to the Skull Clamp, you'll have some card draw abilities with that, which ain't too bad. The Trailblazer Boots to give a non-basic island walk. So if someone has a non-basic land, it gives them land walk with that. So again, making her unblockable, making her difficult to interact with when you do decide to attack with her. Sonic Resonator is really, really nice. You get to copy a triggered ability, so when she attacks, if you end up doing 10 damage to every player, you gain 10 life. Well, you get to activate that, and you do it again. You do another 10 damage to everyone, which is pretty big. Potential like a combo with a game ender there, and another wink on here with the Grafted Exoskeleton. If you have at least 10 creatures out that have 2 or less power, and you swing wide with her with this equipped, you're doing 10 poison damage to everyone as well, and potentially winning the game. Even 5, even if you did 5, activate the Stronic Resonator, that's a little combo there, and then you've won the game. Whisper Silk Cloak, can't be blocked and has Shroud, again creating that evasiveness with her, and then she can't be blocked. And then with the Wand of the World Soul, next spell you have has Convoke, quite handy if you want to use all your tokens to pay for things instead of your your mana base of your lands if you don't have enough. This just helps get ahead of the curve and utilizing all those creatures, because the way I see it is those creatures are a resource, so to speak. You need as many creatures as possible to do the damage. You don't particularly want to be swinging with them all the time, because you're going to end up losing them, rendering Arabella's ability semi-useless. So one way of making them useful, instead of just sitting there and being blockers, is have them actually generate mana to cast spells. So I thought that was a really, really good addition with that one. Moving on to do the enchantments real quick. We'll do the creatures last. Roller Coaster Ride, little bit of a removal. But if you have the mana to pump into to remove a creature, but if you do have Delirium, a source you control will deal non-combat damage, which Arabella ability is, you get to deal double that damage instead. So you could essentially pay X as 0 just to have the enchantment of Delirium ability if you have the Delirium. But if you do have the mana available to do so, you could pump some mana in and remove something. The Felidar Retreat will never be using the 1/1 counters, always creating those 2/2 creature tokens, which is really good with the landfall. Spirit Link is really, really good because essentially you'll gain that much life to what you do. So if you was to tap Arabella to attack, and say for example you had X was 5 damage, you deal 5 damage to your opponents, but you gain 15 life because you dealt that much damage to each opponent. So 5 to one, 5 to another, 5 to another. You gain 15 life thanks to the spirit link, as well as the 5 life you gain from her ability. So that like, this is just a crazy card in my opinion. How this is not like a £5 card or something? It's like 2p. But that's a really, really good card in my opinion. Reconnaissance, again, with Arabella to try and protect her. Remove target attacking creature you control from combat and untap it. Essentially, you know, the combo is as soon as you tap to attack Arabella and activate her ability, pay the 0 and remove her from combat. You don't have to have her deal combat damage. You just need to trigger her attack ability. And she's doing her job, you know. So Reconnaissance is a really, really good card in this, in my opinion. Whenever one or more creatures with mana value of 3 or less enter, you draw a card. Only once per turn, but generates a little bit of card draw. A little bit of I feel like this is like a good in white commander staple in terms of good removal, especially if you want to remove someone's commander, but not exactly remove them in a sense where they just go back to their command zone and they get them to recast this. You know, Darksteel Mutation just completely renders a problem creature inert, essentially, which I think is really, really good. Authority of Consuls as well. Enters creatures your opponents control enter tapped, which is really good at slowing down your opponents. And whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your opponent's control, you gain a life. So more life gain, just keeping you in the game pretty much, you know, with all that high life. I think I remember one time playing, I had something like 70 life at one point. And it just gets to the point where you can, you know, someone attacks you can just let them attack you because, like, oh yeah, 20 damage, that's nothing, because I'm going to gain 30 life next turn because of this and because of Arabella and because of what else. It's really, really good, and a no-brainer with all the tokens coming in. Sorry, I'm stuttering. The impact tremors, dealing 1 damage to each opponent, just to help drain your opponents down little by little with all the 1 damage that they're doing, and the potential opportunities for doing like double damage and stuff to help with that. Moving on to instants and sorceries, got a nice little wad here. So nice little removal spell, creatures with toughness 4 or greater. Because you've got lots of little creatures, most of your creatures, I'd say like 95% of it, will survive this board wipe. So this is essentially a one-sided board wipe, which is really, really nice. Give you the upper hand. Secure the wastes with the 1/1 white warrior creature tokens. You know, pump all you can, especially if you have Wander the World. So if you've already got quite a few creatures out and you want to activate this, I would, you know, activate the wand here and then, you know, pump as much as you can into this and potentially create like a huge board state, especially if you've got something like Impact Tremors out. That's going to be massive. Surprise Witness, return target creature of mana value 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. You've got a few creatures that have that are 3 or less, so I feel like this was a pretty okay card to add. Just a little bit of graveyard recursion, especially if you've got like a key piece that you want to keep on that you've lost and want to bring it back. No brainer. Make a stand, so creatures you control get indestructible. Good for surviving board wipes if someone else wants to play something. Swords of Plowshares, a typical removal. Exercise is a nice little removal as well, I feel like, especially with artifacts and enchantments. Lately with some of the latest sets, you know, Duskmourn, what's the other one as well? With the release of Edge of Eternities, I just feel like there's lots of artifacts and enchantments that are just getting really, really powerful lately. So this was a really cool addition to add to that. And one with Convoke, creature gets indestructible to the end of turn, again protecting your commander. Prevent all damage, and you gain life equal to the damage done this way. This was a really, really good card I've played at one point. I remember someone swinging massive with me for like 50 odd damage, and I was able to like play this and then gain that 50 damage as life, which was quite cool. Nice little removal as well for 1 with the Unwanted Remake. More removal with artifacts and enchantments with Wear and Tear. Nice little board wipe here. This one is more if you're playing behind. Sorry, excuse me, I've got a bike going by. Yeah, if you say, for example, suffered a board wipe yourself recently and you've got nothing on the board, you could potentially play this. Pump all you can into there. Create the Phyrexian artifact creature tokens because they're 1/1s, and then board wipe everyone else. And at least you've got a little bit of a board state yourself, and then play Arabella, and then you've got some 1/1 tokens to back her up. So it's a good little token generation and a board wipe as well, just in case. Red Elemental Blast, you know, good little for blues, I guess. Destroy a target, you know, for 1, destroy a target blue, or counter a blue spell, which isn't too bad. Path to Exile, another 1 mana cost removal. The Battle of Bywater as well, destroy creatures of power 3 or greater. Again, all your creatures are going to be under 2, hopefully. So this is like another one-sided board wipe, which I thought was really, really nice. Chaos Warp is in there, another potential little removal. Entrapment Maneuver as well, target player sacrifices an attacking creature, you create tokens based on its toughness. So if someone is to swing something really, really big at you, you could potentially create that many tokens. So I thought that was quite nice. Removal and token creation I thought was pretty neat. I can't pronounce this, but yeah, more token creation, but in the sense of 2/2 with tramples and haste, so it's not too bad. Stroke of Midnight and more removal. And the last ditch effort, sacrifice X creatures, deal X damage to a target creature or player. This was more of a I don't know, a little bit of a gamble, like a win con, if that makes sense. I know it sounds weird, it's probably like the worst win con potential to have, but in my mind is that if, say for example, it was heads up commander, like, you know, 2 players have already been eliminated, it's you and 1 other person, and you've, you know, they've only got, say, like 25 life, but you've got like 30 creatures on the board thanks to all the tokens you created. You could just play this for 1, sacrifice everything that you have, and then deal that damage straight to their face. I don't know, just a way of winning the game in a weird way, I guess. I thought it was a cool idea. It probably isn't, but yeah, I quite like the look of it. Going on to the creatures, we've got a nice little stack of creatures here that do certain things like protection, card draw, token creations as well. So with the Selfless Spirit, you can sacrifice creatures you can train, gain indestructible to the end of turn, again to protect your board state from those pesky board wipes. Essence of Antiquity, again with the protection, so you would play this for 3 face down, and then for its disguise cost for 3 and 1 white, turn it face up, and then creatures you control gain hexproof till the end of turn. You get to untap them as well, just in case someone tries to target Arabella or something else. You know, you could flip that, give them hexproof. No, you can't touch that, which is quite nice. The Nesting Dovehawk, although she's a 2/2 at the moment, potentially after a while she'll get quite big because of all the tokens and the 1/1 counters you put on her, but it's more for the populate, so you get to copy a token that you have, again for Arabella's benefit. Mentor of the Meek, card draw, so we're going to be playing lots of creatures that have power 2 or less that enter the battlefield, so paying the 1 to draw a card is really nice. Anger's in there, again for its 2/2, but once it dies, Arabella will have that haste, so you can attack the turn that you play her. This is really, really nice. Prevent all combat damage that would be dealt to attacking artifact creatures you control. So when this is out and Arabella attacks, because she's an artifact creature, you get to prevent all combat damage. So that's really, really nice. So anyone that does decide to block her, they just bounce. And we don't really care about her combat damage. You just want her to do her ability, which I think is really, really nice. And whenever 1 or more artifact creatures enter the battlefield, draw a card. That's not too bad. I don't think I have many artifact creatures, maybe 1 or 2. But just that additional one-off card draw is quite nice. Lower Unicorn, at the beginning of combat on your turn. If you control your commander, prevent all damage that be dealt to creatures you control this turn, and other creatures gain vigilance. So that's not too bad. More combat prevention, so you can just swing freely with Arabella. Morton Gatekeeper, whenever a creature enters the battlefield, this deals 1 damage to each opponent. Basically a creature version of the Impact Tremors, which is quite nice. You're basically, you know, dealing that again whenever you attack. Create a 1/1, so that's not too bad. Again, with this one, whenever you attack with 1 or more non-known creatures, put a 1/1 counter on this creature, and then you get to create that many colorless gnomes, where X is the number of counters on Anim. I think it's pronounced Anim Pakal. So yeah, so the bigger this gets, so the more 1/1 counters, the more 1/1 creatures you create, which is pretty damn big. Suture Priest as well, more life gain and life drain to your opponents when creatures enter the battlefield under yours and theirs, which is quite nice. Lorien of the Third Path, you and target opponent draw a card, and a little bit of removal as well, and plus it's under 2, so it's quite good. More card draw with the power 2 or less enter the battlefield. Triggers only once per turn, and then if this does die, it comes back as an enchantment, so you get to keep this for a little bit longer. This is quite handy. the frontline medic as well, coming in with the indestructible whenever you attack with the medic and 2 other creatures. So the medic, you can have Arabella and then 1 other, maybe a 1/1 creature, and they just get indestructible, which is quite nice. Plus the sacrifice as well, you can get to counter a target spell with X, so that's not too bad. Welcoming Vampire again, whenever power 2 or less enters, draw a card. The Solomon, this is probably a commander staple, but search your library and draw a card when it dies. God of the Forge, okay, so this is quite nice with the creatures constantly entering, doing 2 damage to each opponent. It's basically Impact Tremors, you know, on steroids, which is quite nice. Good one to have. Grand Abolisher, your opponents can't cast spells or activate abilities of artifacts or creatures or enchantments during your turn, so that's quite nice, another way of slowing down your opponents. And again, it's a 2/2. Adeline, whenever you attack, you create creatures for each opponent, I think it is. Whenever you attack for each opponent, create a 1/1. Yeah, that's it. Not really too fussed about her power, because her power is going to be massive, won't trigger Arabella, but the token creation is really, really nice. Again, just fueling the fire for Arabella to do more damage. The Weathered Wayfarer 1/1, and you get to search your library for a land card, put it into your hand. Only if you have more, if your opponent has more lands than you. Considering there's not really much ramp per se, so if you're facing someone who's green and they're using a lot of ramp spells, odds are they're going to have more lands than you. So this is quite nice just to help play catch up with that. Spirit Companions are 1/1, and then when it enters, you draw a card. And then Squirrel, finally. So it's a 1/1, which is a no-brainer, and it's more for its protection, so choose a colour. And target creature you control gains toxic and hexproof from that colour till the end of turn. Can't be blocked by a creature of that colour. So if someone's playing black, you could just tap Squirrel, give Arabella protection from black, and then freely attack that player, you know, without consequences of losing, or if they do decide to block. So yeah, very, very overall, this is an extremely fun deck. Really, I felt like it was really easy to build as well. Like, it's just, the goal is tokens, like 1/1, 2/2 creatures, tokens, and then just other little things that you want to add to make it your own deck, I guess. You know, anything that you want to add to give it a little bit more, you know, protection for her with the protection spells, some planeswalkers, other little bits and bobs, utility lands, just anything that creates tokens. I felt like, in my personal opinion, was probably one of the easiest card builds, deck builds to do, and it's really, really fun to play. Really, really easy, especially if you're a new player. There's nothing to really think about. You just tap with her and you just count how many creatures you have that are power 1 or 2 or less. That's it. You got 10 of them, she does 10 damage. Boom, that's it. It's that easy. And it's right up my alley in terms of, like, you know, the type of commanders I like to play, and the style as well, so to speak. I'm not a big fan of red, but I'm slowly warming up and liking red a little bit more, because I don't know, I think just all the damage that it does with the red, hitting your opponents all the time, it's quite funny. I think it's quite funny, but this has been an absolute joy to build. But yeah, I built this ages ago, been playing it a couple of times, and I've been itching to do like a review, and like a talk on, you know, the builds that I did, some of the games that I played, and they've been really, really good. On the first game I played with this, you know, I nearly won the game on its debut, basically, and that was thanks to the grafted exoskeleton. I think I brought all my opponents to 9 poison, and then obviously the board was just like, yeah, we got a real problem here, and they all just removed everything and ganged up on me, and then it just found it really, really hard to recover after that. But it was a lot of fun, and I think the second game I played, I did win with this, and that was just constantly creating tokens, constantly attacking, and I had ways of protecting her and prevent her from, like, being unblockable, you know, making her unblockable and preventing her from receiving combat damage. And thanks to the life gain I was getting from it, my opponents just, that game, the second game rounds, just couldn't catch up, so to speak. You know, they're attacking me, fine, yeah, attack me, that's fine. You know, losing 10 life that turn, 5 life that turn, another 10 life, but then I'm attacking, I'm getting 30, and I'm just getting it all back. And I think throughout the whole game I stayed above 40 life, which was really, really good, even though I was barely blocking and just allowing all these attacks to come through, which I thought was really, really good. Yeah, absolute awesome commander. If you're looking to build this yourself, Arabella is actually relatively cheap, if I'm not mistaken. Last I checked, I don't even think she's above 50p on card market value in terms of in terms of what she is. So I feel like, you know, a lot of talk about Arabella. I've seen, like, a lot of people talk about her, saying how she's a good of a commander, but I still think she's slept on. you know, she's not one of these 20, 30, 40 pound commanders that, you know, everyone is just hugely sought after. But I think that's, you know, more everyone else is lost. This is an absolute awesome commander to play with. Really easy to build, really easy to play, and yeah, absolute joy to you know, a lot of fun to play with. So yeah, I've really enjoyed it. So yeah, so I'm going to leave it there. Yeah, send me a message on, you know, in the comments below. Like, let me know your thoughts and process. Like, have you built this deck and how did you do it? Did you go with the rabbits, like with the heir apparents, or did you go goblins, which is like another simplistic version of this deck where you just play many goblins, get some goblin troopers, get Krenkos out, you know, and then just tap your Krenkos, basically create absolute crazy amounts of goblins. You know, goblin decks are a problem as it is, because you can just create a massive board state, and then just having Arabella, you know, spearheading that and just attacking, you know, it probably achieve what I can achieve in this deck so much easier. And the heir apparents as well, with the rabbits. I've seen some really cool little combos people play using heir apparent, and creating an absolute monster of a board state. And you know, they always say like, oh, you know, having Arabella would be a really good commander if you know, use the rabbits instead. So yeah, so let me know what you think. Like, you know, if you built this, which direction did you go? You know, I'd be really interested to hear what you went for that. And if you haven't built a deck, like, you know, would this be something up your alley? Especially if you're a new player, you're not too sure what to build or what cards to look for, and especially if you're on a budget. You know, I have added some reasonably pricey cards in here to keep this as, you know, fairly competitive. But in terms of the commander itself, absolute pennies. And there's like a couple of cards that you can, you know, there's loads of cards you can add to this deck to make it workable, that you don't have to break the bank just to make it usable, so to speak, you know, or, you know, playable. There's loads of cards that you can add that are not massively expensive, but I know I've got some really pricey cards, especially with you know, the God of the Forge and stuff, but I don't think many. I think that's nearly a $5 last I heard. Suture Priest, I think that's a couple of quid. Pennies, that's pennies. I don't think that costs much. A couple of quid maybe. Anger's a couple of quid. He's gone down in price. That's quite expensive last I checked. He's pennies. Selfless Spirit I don't think is worth much. Yeah, there are plenty of cards out there that's compatible with this commander, where, you know, you could probably make a really decent budget £40 deck and still make this work. So it's up to you. You know, there's a lot of versatility behind this, and this is why I like these commanders, these little 2 costs. It takes you out of your comfort zone a little bit, or it, you know, forces you to build a deck that you wouldn't normally build, or take a deck in a direction you wouldn't normally do. So this is why I like doing this. I like, you know, I don't want to go for the usual commanders that everyone else goes for. I want to go with the 2-cost commanders that they release every set, and I just feel like it's a random encounter of what I'm going to get. So yeah, yeah, like I say, leave some comments. You know, if you haven't already, give us a subscribe. I try to do a video as often as possible, but, you know, I maybe do one a month. So I'm not a big YouTuber in terms of creating content all the time. But yeah, like, I would love to hear your opinions on it. And if you've built this deck, yeah, that's great. Tell me all about it. How did you build it? And what do you think of it? And do you enjoy playing it? You know, I'd love to hear your opinion. But yeah, but I'm going to leave it there. Upcoming next, you know, I have a few things on the horizon of other decks I want to build. There is the new Ragost Deft, I can't pronounce it. Astronaut, no, not astronaut. Dang it, I can't pronounce it. I'll leave it here. It's basically the new 2-cost commander. It's in Boros again. It's an artifact heavy deck from the Edge of Eternities. But yeah, I was well excited to see that card come out. So I'm actually in the middle of building a deck around that. So another Boros 2-cost commander surrounding food artifacts. I'll be doing a little deck talk on that once I've built it and done some gameplay and stuff and tested it out. But that one looks really, really cool as well. So yeah, some things on the horizon. I've got some decks in the making. I'll keep in touch, and yeah, so yeah, but I'll leave it there. If you haven't already, give us a follow, leave a comment, and subscribe if you can. Like the video as well if you enjoyed the content. Check out the stores on Vinted and eBay. I do sell some bits and bobs on there. Getting into Lorcana a lot as well. You know, my supplier now supplies Lorcana, so if that's a game or a trading cards game that you're getting into, I do have a supplier where I can get hold of boxes and troves and other bits and bobs. And Pokemon as well, that's been picking up a bit as well. I've been doing a lot of Pokemon selling on the stores, so if there's anything that you're after, send me a message on the stores and I'll see what I can do for you. But until then, I love you and leave you. Okay guys, boom, have a good one.